What better venue to toss the BRP iRacing series like a salad than the world's fastest half mile? The fan favorite mixing bowl has always been grounds for settling scores and creating new ones, and it's just the same scenario tonight. Hello and welcome to Pit Stop TV. I'm Andrew Cardinale IV with Joe Donahue alongside. And Joe, welcome to the last great Coliseum where BRP's gladiators are about to do battle.
It is a pleasure to be here. It sounds like we're in great tune with the puns this evening, so hopefully we get to keep that ball rolling. But we are present for the BRP iRacing series. Bristol Motor Speedway, they covered the track in dirt, and this is one of those races that I think a lot of people have been excited to get out, get rolling for. The racetrack, obviously, high banks, fast, it's very interesting. We had a great time here with the late models when these guys brought those cars out last season, and I think today we've got a pretty good show in store for us.
Glad to be joining you for the Creative Turning 60 Bristol. Let's take a look at our standings coming into this evening. A lot's been changed, I think, over the last few weeks. We no longer have Travis Miller atop the point standings. In fact, he drops down 7 points behind Brandon Plank, who reassumes that points lead. Brett Rolls, still winless, is a whole lot closer now, just 5 points back of Travis Miller. Crazy to think, honestly, that Brett Rolls is closer to Travis Miller than Travis Miller is to Brandon Plank. Andrew Clark is also narrowing that gap, just 29 points back now after a third win. I mean, how do you argue against the 98 car? Well, granted, that third win is a couple of weeks ago, because Matt DeRitter, of course, grabbed his first win ever in the series last week at Linear Raceplex, and he now moves up into that top 10. You see Scott Fritz, Ryan Beagle on the right side of the screen. That means they're outside the top 10. That means they have to get something going here tonight. I would put Mike Wenner and Gavin Isley in that category as well.
Yeah, and you can definitely see the big thing to look at right here with the way, especially with Matt DeRitter. Last week kind of shook up the points a little bit, obviously at the top of the leaderboard, but also you see Matt DeRitter had jumped to 8th place, and I mean, you know, Tanner Correa, Brett Haas, Scott Fritz, all those guys, they're within, 6 points, those 4 drivers. So that kind of curveball last week changed things up there. Obviously the top of the board is flip-flopping, and it has been for the last couple weeks, but I think Bristol gives us a really great opportunity to have even more of that. The Creative Turning 60 here should be a place where we maybe see another driver do that. And who knows, you know, you could have somebody like Gavin Isley or Ryan Beagle, even, you know, Tyler Pachalski, Dan Sider, Jeff Sharp, who knows, somebody who's kind of been very consistent lately that maybe isn't in the top 5 in points could finally break through and have a great showing here, if not a win. I think this is one of those racetracks that has to be part of your equation when you talk about it.
And on the other side of that equation of maybe an outsider grabbing a race win, what about guys like Michael Hackett, Joe Matthews, Tanner Correa even, especially in this race, even Brett Haas? Those guys could all go up there and grab a win tonight. I don't think that'd be all that surprising. No more surprising, certainly, than Matt DeRitter last week at Lanier. I think it's certainly within the realm of possibility for any of those 4 guys to grab a win and move up in this top 10, at least into the top 5, because Jamie Porter is certainly tangible for each of those drivers to catch in the points. And of course, Jamie Porter could go out there and get another race win. This is where he did it last time around in a late model. He grabbed his first win ever in this series right here last season. So by all means, Jamie Porter could do it again tonight, or maybe we see another first-time winner like Michael Hackett, Joe Matthews, Tanner Correa, Brett Haas that we just talked about. A lot of drivers, I think, looking at this racetrack then with an opportunity for success. Travis Miller is leading practice. Let's take a look, though, at the schedule for this season. I want to point out, especially after last week, Joe, it is now the Fairbury Speedway that is next week, no longer the Faybury Speedway.
Yeah, and hey, Fairbury is a wonderful racing facility, and it's going to be, you know, you talk about Bristol being a curveball for these guys. Fairbury is going to be a screwball. I'm not the biggest baseball guy, but I think that's a little bit more intense. But Fairbury next week, that's going to be a short track and not a ton of space, and it's going to be kind of congested, but it should be very exciting there. Eldora is one of, you know, the crown jewel dirt tracks in the country and even the world. It races a little bit more normal than, say, Bristol or Fairbury, but that's going to be a really great place to take a penultimate round in the championship. And then, of course, after that, we go to Charlotte, sort of the standard in dirt racing as a final destination for a championship. It's a great racetrack. I think it races really well in the service, and I think the big blocks race really well there, too. So that's going to be very important when we get to that final stage. And hopefully the championship stays as tight as it has all season long. It should, and we should be able to bring through Fairbury and Eldora to Charlotte, we should be able to bring a really great championship battle.
Absolutely, and I think as far as a ball would go for Fairbury next week, maybe a knuckle curve. I feel like that might, maybe a 12-6 curve as well. Either way, Fairbury's going to be interesting next week. I don't know how to, I guess I don't know how a driver would plan for it, but I think the same thing here tonight. Bristol with its fast speeds, and I mean, it's Bristol. It's got the high banks. It's not really a dirt track. I know they've done it, and obviously it's kind of made its resurgence, and it's a whole lot of fun, but it's just a whole lot different from anything else these guys run on throughout the course of a season. We can see that with the car taking a header to the inside wall there on the backstretch. So, different is the way I would describe this race for these guys this evening. In fact, we could bring up the track map and take a look at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Of course, this is our asphalt track map because it really applies. The track is no different functionally, aside from pit lane, where in this case, it does operate as two separate pit lanes. Really, I think we should only have to use the front pit lane, and that would obviously only be for repairs. We might have one or two cars pitted on the backstretch. We'll see how that goes. It might even be a 23-23 split, in which case, yeah, I think we might have just a couple of cars in the backstretch. Anyways, it's Bristol. I mean, what else is there to say about it, right? It is the high banked, world's fastest half mile. Checks in at just over that half mile. I mean, 26 to 30 degrees progressive banking when it's, I said asphalt earlier on, pavement, because it's concrete here, obviously, at Bristol, with that asphalt apron. It's Bristol, Joe. I don't know how else to describe it. It's Bristol.
Yeah, and especially with these guys in the dirt, you can't, you look at the real world, and especially the world of Outlaws. Remember the sprint cars? Those guys talked about that track being something they had to survive, and it was nuts and fast. Some guys were kind of scared of it, and even in the sim, relatively, you're kind of nervous about this racetrack. You run up to the top side of this track, it gets slick in the middle, and you start going up to the high side of the track, like you're seeing on your screen with Brandon Plank. I mean, it kind of catches you out. You got to really stay on your game when you go up top like that, and make sure you don't clip the backside of the car off the wall, or just put a wheel wrong. Almost said put a foot wrong, but you put a wheel wrong and things can go awry here. So this is kind of a track that you're a little bit tensed up, and you got to stay on your A game to hit your marks every lap and be able to be successful here.
And what Brian Berger is doing here in practice is exactly what these drivers will have to do the rest of the evening, where he's putting that right rear right up towards the wall and running right. I mean, he is up in that high line, that Larson line, if you will. Let's go on board now with Travis Miller, who's leading this practice session, see how he's doing it. And again, right up there, in fact, clipping through that wall just a little bit with the right rear quarter panel. I mean, these guys are up there.
Oh, yeah, 100%. You see Brett Haas and Travis Miller. I mean, they're right up together, up at the high side. I think Travis is one of those names. I mean, we're used to Travis winning races and doing very well, but I think Travis is always in a part of the equation when it comes to winning a BRP iRacing Series event. But I think this track could suit him, and it's very possible we can see Travis Miller doing very well. As practice is coming to an end, so these guys are getting the final legs on preparing themselves to tackle the Great Coliseum tonight. So things should get exciting and interesting, and everybody's going to have to get ready.
You know who else I noticed on that practice sheet is Josh Mbowski and Wenner, both in the top 5, joining Miller, Porter, and Clark. They might be drivers to watch. Josh Mbowski and Wenner. Remember the 88J in 23. As we go into qualifying here, we'll get these guys their fast times on the racetrack and see just who's going to start our heat races from where. 3 minutes on the track is going to open up. Michael Hackett, as per usual, is one of the first ones to get into the car, but maybe waiting a moment to get on the racetrack. Here's Brett Rolls already out there, Mike Wenner as well.
Yeah, well, there's a couple guys here rolling off. Mike Wenner on your screen right here has been pretty consistent lately. I would say he's had some really good top 10 performances, and he's always sort of part of the equation. He's had some poor luck come his way occasionally, but he's coming out of turn 4 right here. He's going to try to set a good lap time. And maybe not always the best qualifier, but definitely not the worst qualifier either. He can usually get himself a good position for the heat races, so we'll have to wait and see what he does. Michael Hackett, now that's a guy who's usually fast in qualifying right there.
We'll see what he can do this evening. His qualifying lap should begin now as Wenner goes top of the board for the moment, but he's the first one to turn a time. Meitzler now gets one in. You can see Korea now to the top of the board. That number 11 should be fast tonight. Creative Turning is painted all over the side of it, and this is the Creative Turning 60.
Yeah, and Tanner Correa has been pretty strong lately. As Jamie Porter, Gavin Isley, two guys who went a little bit faster. As Jamie Porter is his teammate at Beef Esports, he goes to the top of the board in the 45. And you see him rip into the bottom side of the racetrack here, trying to put in another fast time. Jamie Porter, like you said, he won his first race ever in the series here with a late model, and he certainly is one of the guys to watch to take the victory tonight.
Dean Reynolds, high up the board. The number 79R goes to 7th here in qualifying. Pachalski, Susi, good to see Ryan Susi back in the field as well. Matt DeRitter will join them in the top 10. Hackett and Correa swap spots as actually Reynolds goes up to 4th for Dean Reynolds in qualifying here at Bristol.
And that's pretty great to see. You know, Dean has had a little bit of a slower start to the season, but he definitely has gotten things back together. Here's Connor Ross and Matt DeRitter. So obviously Connor Ross kind of came back last week and had a pretty strong performance after being away for a while. Matt DeRitter, last time's winner. Ryan Beagle, Dylan Davidson. There's a guy who's back on the scene after a couple of weeks off in the 73 machine. Dylan right now, I wouldn't say he has the best qualifying time. He's sitting a little bit further down the order, but you got plenty of time to make a feature. And Brandon Plank knows that as well. He's a guy who's had some ups and downs this season when it comes to qualifying, but he always knows how to turn it around in the race.
Wouldn't it be interesting as Andrew Clark goes fastest? Purple right there. Can Brandon Plank go faster? He's got to make up just over 7/100ths of a second. Does he do it? No, he will not go any faster. In fact, goes just a little bit slower. Matt DeRitter now will finish up his qualifying effort here. But wouldn't it be interesting if we locked in a couple of cars from qualifying and put them straight through to the feature? Not only is that a lot of time to wait around and potentially kind of get out of a rhythm almost, but that would also, I think, really ramp up the importance of qualifying because it is that easy ticket through. You can't have something happen to you later on. But, hey, hypotheticals are for another day. Andrew Clark, Jamie Porter, Gavin Isley, your fastest 3 qualifiers at the Bristol Motor Speedway, which means we have heat races, and it looks like we should have 3 heat races once more like the last few weeks. Let's go on through your first of those 3. On pole for heat number 1, it's Andrew Clark at the number 98. Brett Haas rolls off second place in that 55. Starting third, it is none other than the wild child Tanner Correa in that number 11. Brandon Plank, points leader, rolls off from 4th. Tyler Pachalski will roll off in this heat race from 5th. Brian Berger 6th. Mike Wenner will start this race from position number 7 with Dean Meitzler in position number 8. Bringing up the field in heat 1, that is Richard Pereira. And Joe, in recent weeks, we have talked up the importance of heat races and heat race points. Brandon Plank in this heat race solo from his other championship competitors, unless you count Andrew Clark.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, you definitely have to, I think with the speed and momentum that Andrew Clark's had the last few weeks, you do have to consider him as part of that equation. But Brandon Plank, I mean, we've talked about how you get those points to fight for a championship. Brandon Plank definitely has taken advantage of that in a couple weeks of this season. You get 4 bonus points for the championship if you win the heat, and then 3 for second, 2 for third, or 1 for 4th place. And Brandon Plank has been able to keep himself part of the picture by winning heat races. Travis Miller's had his moments where he's done the same thing. Andrew Clark might want to try to capitalize on that as well. He had a little bit of a slower start to the season, obviously, than his middle part of the season, going 3 for 4 from Cedar Lake to Volusia. But, those 4 points, they don't sound like a lot, but they definitely can be a lot, especially with how close the championship is right now.
The field works down the backstretch for the final time before we have green flag racing from the last great Coliseum. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening on Pit Stop TV. This race, actually, not only the stream, but this race brought to you this evening by Creative Turnings. This is the Creative Turnings 60, and out of turn number 4, we have green flag for the first time this evening. It is Andrew Clark and Brett Haas down to 1. And out of turn number 4, Brett Haas leads lap 1.
Brett Haas is one of those guys who's usually pretty strong at the beginnings of the nights. He had a streak of 4 heat race wins in a row earlier this season. He's always strong when the track's kind of tacky, and being in the first heat race, he's definitely got that handed to him. But Andrew Clark and Brandon Plank behind him, 2 of the strongest guys in the season so far. They are not giving it up to him. Clark kind of looked down low. Ooh, a little bit of contact there.
Yeah, just a bit of contact, I'd say. As Andrew Clark was digging down low, look at that. Plank now digs way down there. Correa has a go of things as well. Right to the back end of that 77X. Brett Haas hangs on to the top spot. Andrew Clark in second. The top 4 advance out of each of these heats. Brian Berger currently the first one out.
Yeah, Tanner Correa holding on to that final transfer right now. You're right on board with Brian Berger as they go through 3 and 4, and he has to try to figure out if he can do anything to catch up to these 4 drivers who take those spots, and right now they're kind of leaving a little bit of a gap in between themselves and the 60 machine. So Brian's got his work cut out for him. We're just past halfway in this heat race number 1 for the night. You see up front, it's still Haas trying to command Clark and Plank's runs as they come past the line again. 3 to go.
Plank right down to the bottom side now. Clark up a little bit. Brandon Plank almost fed a right rear quarter panel to that number 98. Now Correa digs down low, puts the left front there on the apron. 2 to go this time by. And Brett Haas looks like he might walk out of this one with 4 bonus points.
That would definitely help Brett Haas's effort, especially in that sort of top 10 situation in the championship points. Andrew Clark and Brandon Plank right now fighting between 1 singular championship point difference as the white flag driven by Tucson Sound Art is waved to the field. They thunder down into 1 and 2. They're still a little bit broken away from Brian Berger, but he's not quite out of the show yet.
Final lap in heat number 1. Haas leads him into the final corner. And out of turn number 4, it is all Brett Haas with the victory. Second place, that goes to Andrew Clark. Plank third, Correa fourth. That's your 4 transfers. Then it's Berger, Meitzler, Pachalski, Winter, and Pereira. They will all go through the consolation races here in just a little while. We might not be sending anyone home. If we had 3 races of 9, that'd be 27, which is 1 car over the limit. We have a heat race of 8 now, Joe, as we get ready for the second heat race of the day.
Yes, and we can bring you that starting lineup right now on the pole. In the car number 45, the inside joke is that's not a real number. Jamie Porter will be the pole sitter for heat race number 2 with Dean Reynolds to his outside, one of the best performances in qualifying Dean's had in a while. Starting on the inside of row number 2, you've got the driver of the number 48 machine, UNOH student Scott Fritz. And his outside is going to be the thriller Travis Miller. Looking back to row number 3 on the inside, you've got Ryan Susi. In car number 38, back on the block and ready to rock. And outside of him, in the number 84 machine, has had some good luck lately, is Ryan Beagle. Last row on the grid, another guy who's coming back around to the show, Dylan Davidson, is back on the scene, and he's got Tyler Joshimbowski starting to his outside. Pretty fast in practice, but as you can see, the qualifying didn't quite go that way. And to confirm, it looks like we have 25 drivers, so I don't think we're going to be sending anybody home from the feature tonight. All are going to come in through the consolation races after these heats.
We actually might not have to run consies then. We'll see how iRacing treats that, but usually when we come in under the car count, it should skip those consolation races. It should be like days of old where we would sometimes come in under that number of 26 and just go straight on to the feature race. We'll see here in just a little bit if that is the case. Jamie Porter, the pistol on pole for heat race number 2. That should be interesting, I think, down to the first corner with Dean Reynolds on the outside as well. We really don't know how Dean Reynolds races for the lead. I hate to kind of put him down in that way, but we just have never seen it, literally. So I'm excited to see what Dean can do here on this start. Let's ride on board then with the thriller Travis Miller for this race start. Green flag on the way, and he's got a great look at that 79, and already Dean caught sleeping on the start. Lap 1 in the books right about now. As it's Jamie Porter with the race lead, Scott Fritz second place. You can see Reynolds sliding into third. Miller's going to look down low for third, though, as he's got fourth, and Susi currently the first one out.
Ryan Susi there in 5th. You can see him a little bit back from Travis Miller, who's still putting plenty of pressure on that 79 machine as they come past the line again. Dean kind of got beamed a little bit on that start. He slept a little, and Scott Fritz got down to the inside. We know Scott Fritz is one of those guys who's also very good in the heat races when the track's a little bit tackier at the beginning of the night, and he's holding on right now to Jamie Porter as they come past the line again. And I would say he's within reach. Might want to wait a little bit for this race to develop a little bit, but he's definitely right there, and he's setting fast laps too.
These big blocks at Bristol, they do sound pretty good, don't they? As Fritz works out of turn 4, looking for the race lead potentially here on Jamie Porter. We might have a good little battle between these two before this race is done. I mean, this is the view at the back end of the 45 car. Look at how close Scott Fritz is.
Scott Fritz a little bit high up through 3 and 4 that time, but he's going to slice back under, and you can see the momentum he gains. Maybe a look, maybe a tap almost into the first corner, as now he's going to look to the bottom side of the leading number 45 machine. They come down the backstretch again. He's just right on that tail. They're going to come to the line and have 2 to go. Not as many opportunities left for Scott. Not as many opportunities left for Travis. And he needs those bonus points. Brandon Plank got a few of them in the previous heat race, so obviously Travis is going to want to get as many as he can and also keep his championship hope alive.
Yeah, the points are the big thing in this race. Travis Miller needs some. Brandon Plank pretty good in that race. What, second or third? Regardless, pretty solid. And Miller cannot be outscored at this point in the season. He has got to get up there and get some more points. White flag is out, presented by Tucson Sound Art. And right now, Miller would be outscored in this third heat. Can he get by Dean Reynolds in this final set of corners? I don't think it's going to happen. While up front, it's all Jamie Porter to the line, and Jamie Porter wins heat race number 2.
Miller holds on to 4th place. He actually got a little bit of pressure from Ryan Susi there at the end, but he does get that single bonus point. Not as many as he needed, especially with Plank's performance in the first heat race.
Heat number 4 then on the way, and this is the other kind of interesting thing. I like how this has worked out with who we've got in each heat race, because on pole, we may have Gavin Isley, but further down in this field, we have one Brett Rolls. We'll get to that in a moment, as Isley will roll off of pole position with Joe Matthews to the outside. Starting 3rd in heat number 3, it's Michael Hackett with Connor Ross outside in that number 35. And rolling off 5th, that is last week's winner. Yes, race winner in the BRP iRacing Series, Matt DeRitter. Nobody was sad to see that win come along. Everybody was quite happy to see the 0-3 in victory lane. Brett Rolls does roll off in this third heat from 6th place. And again, Joe, he cannot afford to be outscored by Brandon Plank. And already, based on where he's starting, he is by quite a bit. Starting 7th in heat number 3, Adam Hilton in the number 3 with Jeff Sharp outside.
Pretty nice lineup here. A couple of really good drivers in heat race number 3. And you want to talk about, Brett Rolls trying to be able to capitalize. I mean, Brett has been able to hold on to the championship race. He hasn't gotten a win yet this year, although he's been in the top 5 in literally every single race so far. So he's been able to get a lot of good points in the main events of this season. But the heat races, I mean, he knows just as well as anybody that these points, they may be, 4, but they're very important. So this is an opportunity for Brett Rolls, especially being the only guy sort of in that championship hunt, at the top end at least, that's in this heat race. This is his opportunity to try to fight his way up and get those 4 bonus points and capitalize on the race today.
A big thank you is due to each of our partners here with the BRP iRacing Series: Bicknell Racing Products, MDR Designs, Jam Performance, Lindy Direct, Creative Turnings, tonight's presenting partner, and the Super Dirt Car Series. Out of turn number 4, heat race 3 is green. First lap in the books, and that goes the way of Gavin Isley quite easily, doesn't it? With a good, healthy lead after that first lap. They work out of turn number 2. Well, I say good, healthy lead. I forgot about Joe Matthews up top, but Joe Matthews did not forget to take this race lead on lap number 2, and he has sailed on by the number 18.
And Joe Matthews leads the way with Connor Ross in 2nd place. Brett Rolls having a little fight here with Isley for the 3rd spot right there, and that would be an extra bonus point in his favor if he could complete that pass. Maybe get on to Ross, maybe a little bit of contact there at the corner. They're getting tight in 4. They come off the corner. They almost went 3 wide, but definitely thought better of it. As here comes Michael Hackett.
Hackett goes on through the middle of 3 wide. We couldn't quite see it just because Hackett drove so far down to the inside somehow of Rolls, despite Rolls being on that top lane. There wasn't much room. Regardless, he made it happen. Hackett takes 3rd, Rolls drops to 5th, and then back up to 4th, as Isley is not finding much luck down low, is he?
No, we know Gavin is kind of a catfish guy. He likes to go down low and try to search for extra grip that other people don't. But right now, yeah, that was a sketchy situation right there with a little blink from Matt DeRitter and another one coming his way. That is a scary situation as an iRacing driver when the car in front of you starts blinking like that.
Down the backstretch, we got a challenge for the race lead. Here comes the number 35. Connor Ross with the challenge up front. Joe Matthews wants to keep it, though. Joe, you're our statistician of the series, it seems like. Does Joe Matthews have a heat race win?
I can actually pull that number up right here if you just give me a quick second. I can confirm he has no heat race wins yet this season. He's going to come to the line for the white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art, and I'd say he has a fairly good shot at getting it, but he's got plenty of pressure from Hackett, who tries to slide on Ross, and Connor Ross right behind him as well.
See what they can do in the final corner here in heat number 3. Ross outside. Hackett had a look. No passes made, and across the line, Joe Matthews wins the heat race.
And that's really great to see for Joe. Obviously, he's one of those guys who's pretty strong at the front end of these race nights. And, being able to get your first win, heat win at least, is definitely something to be acclaimed and to be proud of for this race tonight.
And confirm we do have a couple of consolation races. The first grid of those is going to include Brian Berger on pole. Matt DeRitter will roll off from the second position there on the outside lane of row number 1. Starting from third in this race, it's going to be none other than Ryan Beagle, with Tyler Pachalski joining him in row number 2. And row number 3 in this 6-car consolation number 1 is Adam Hilton and Tyler Joshambowski. I told you to watch out for Joshambowski. He needs to watch out for the rest of the field. He needs to get going here in this consolation race.
Yeah, Tyler's kind of sitting back a little bit further, and we saw it in practice. He had good speed, but, his heat race obviously didn't quite go the way he wanted it to. He's sitting at the tail end of our first consolation for the night, and these positions, they're all going to get into the feature. He's just really got to look for opportunities to start further up in the grid. You don't want to have a poor starting position in these races, especially at a place like Bristol. If things go wrong, they're going to go wrong quickly, and Tyler needs to give himself sort of any lifeline he can to be able to avoid a sticky situation come a main time.
Tyler Joshambowski will roll off of Consi 1 in the 6th spot. Now, previous math for these races, when we only have 3 heats, is usually that 7 cars move on from each consolation, but we're being told that could be different. It could be 6. We'll find out, I'm sure, once we get down to our feature race grid. But in that case, obviously Joshambowski is safe in this one. Only 6 cars in this race, but the next one could be where things maybe don't work out. So we'll see how that all goes. We'll have more official word, obviously, in a few moments. Let's ride on board here with Tyler Joshambowski for the green flag. One lap in, and Joshambowski's already up there fighting for 4th on the outside of Beagle. He might have something.
And things are looking kind of iffy down the back straightaway for these guys. They're going pretty wide. They did hold on to it, and Ryan Beagle actually did a pretty impressive job of staying to the bottom side of the racetrack, as Joshambowski's going to clear both him and Adam Hilton, move himself into 4th place in this grid. Tyler Pachalski, his next one to come up and try to see if he can make a pass on that 21P, as Brian Berger follows Matt DeRitter around the top side of the racetrack right now. Pretty easy control for DeRitter up front.
Yeah, he got right on by Berger off of the start, and I think that top side will be dominant all day long on the starts and restarts. We'll see if that changes at all later on in the day. There's a side-by-side battle, though. Well, it was side-by-side as Hilton was looking to the inside of Joshambowski. That has since fizzled out as Beagle has, this is unfortunate to see. He was so good seasons back, and this season's just been off the entire way.
Yeah, Ryan, he's had some success this season. You think about Kokomo especially, and he did have a 2nd place at USA as well. But that, relative to what we're used to seeing out of Ryan Beagle, this is kind of a little bit of a step back for him. And obviously, you can see how far back he is right now in this consolation, rather. But when the track gets older, that's kind of when Ryan Beagle starts to show his stuff. So it's not over for Ryan yet. I definitely think this race tonight's going to be able to possibly come around in his favor.
Whoa, bit of a weird corner there out of turn 4 for Pachalski. Joshambowski lost that spot to Hilton, and now Hilton has a look to the inside of Pachalski. Now Joshambowski will have a look to the inside of Hilton, maybe. Might have just gotten loose down there. These guys are really all over the place, it feels like, today. There's no good line, it feels like. I don't know. They're missing. I can't tell if it's entry or exit where things are going wrong for them, but it just seems like these cars are unsettled. There we go.
Yeah, I think on top of the track, I think part of that is, well, on top of the way these guys are driving, I think part of it is the track. It's a tough facility, and like I said, you're a little bit on edge. These guys are working in the track right now, so there's some tacky parts and some slick stuff, and it's a heck of a thing. I'm glad I'm not in the car. It's a difficult situation to try to get through. As you see, Tyler Pachalski tried to pull a little slider on Brian Berger to come as a white flag presented by Tucson Sound Art this time. Pachalski's still trying to work that slider in, and this time he's going to get it. Oh, Hilton almost gets loose there.
Berger now challenges back on the inside of Tyler Pachalski. Down to turn 3. He's going to throw the car in, not quite to the top side. Now he gets there, pushes Pachalski up the racetrack, and that's that for Consi 1. Pachalski up onto the fence. That does wrap up consolation number 1. It's DeRitter, Berger, Hilton, Josh Mbowski, Pachalski, and then Beagle there at the back end. And this is where things could get interesting. And we're being told that we may not take all 7 of these drivers, which would go against what we've had the last few weeks. So that'll be interesting if that's the case. Yeah, I mean, we'll find out, I'm sure, here in a moment, right? Just trying to think. Math, yeah, I mean, 12 and 12. That's 24 as opposed to 26. But regardless, Joe, we do have another grid on the way. And here you go.
And here we go. Ryan Susi starts off on the inside. He's the pole sitter for the second constellation of the night. To his outside is going to be a driver out of Pennsylvania, the number 49. That's Dean Meitzler. Starting off in row number 2, you got the Catfish Gavin Isley on the inside. Going to try to maybe look for a little bit of grip down low again. He's got Double D Dylan Davidson to his outside in the 73 machine. Going back to the third row on the grid, you start on the inside with the black and yellow. Number 23, that's Mike Wenner. And his outside is going to be that number 28 of Jeff Sharp. And rounding out the grid, presumably the only car starting on the outside looking in, the number 96, Richard Pereira, but he's been in this situation before, and I wouldn't count him out of a run for transfers.
Certainly not. We know Pereira has made his way into races in more unusual circumstances, I would say, as these 7 get ready to go for 10 laps at the Bristol Motor Speedway, which means, hey, we've still got 60 to go for each of these guys. This will be 70. They had their heat races at 78. They're qualifying as, what, 2 laps, 80 laps? We could call this the Creative Turnings 80 maybe as we get ready to go for Consolation Race number 2. Race number 5 on the evening, 10 laps the distance, 7 cars the field, and the pace truck is going to make its way down to the Bristol Motor Speedway pit lane. Green flag is out. Susi will lead lap 1, but only just as Isley comes way up the racetrack into Meitzler, and they both hit the wall. Big crash into 1. 5 cars out of 7 are in it, and Davidson goes up on his lid.
Dylan Davidson still rolling down the racetrack right here, and he's going to end up, well, he gets on his wheels. There it is for Dylan Davidson, but that was such an unfortunate circumstance to see. Everybody just kind of dug in all at the same time. Isley came up the racetrack a little bit too quickly into Meitzler, and the rest of them had nothing they could really do. It gives a ton of breathing room to the leader, Ryan Susi, and the rest of these guys with the damage on their cars, they're just trying to chug on and make these transfers. But, man, Dylan Davidson, I can't see how that would be in any way, shape, or form interesting or exciting. He's going to be pretty upset about that one.
Yeah, upset certainly I would be. A couple of cars make a little bit of contact out of turn 4 on the first lap, and you're just an instant bystander, and now he might be the one car out of this race. There's race leader Ryan Susi, though, digging down the backstretch. He's got a nice little lead over Meitzler. Wenner and Isley doing battle back here with Pereira in tow. Sharp is now into 6th, and of course 7th place is Davidson, some 16 seconds behind the race leader. This will be interesting to see how this one shapes out and if Davidson makes the race or not.
Yeah, Davidson's got a lot of time to make up. He's gonna need somebody else to make a mistake at this point. I think it's kind of out of his reach to just get back up on speed. You're watching Gavin Isley in that car. It's very black tonight. It's been white a couple weeks. He's run a white and orange car, and this time out he's brought out the black car again, but he's running right behind another black car with a little bit of yellow trim like Wenner right there. To his inside, Richard Pereira. As we said, he's been one of those guys that starts on the outside looking in a couple consolations this season so far, but he usually figures out a way to make it, and maybe a little bit of luck in his hand this time, but he is inside the transfers at the moment.
Isley doing some work there in the number 18, right behind Wenner in that black and yellow 23. He almost had a run there on the bottom side. I mean, he started digging. He's going to go for a slider maybe right here in 1, right down to the bottom side, hooks the bottom nicely, has a little bit of speed, is going to come up and lose momentum down the backstretch, but he might have something here into 3. Does he throw it down there again? Yes. Is he going to clear Wenner? He's way down there, and he might... Oh, he had him clear for a moment, but is not able to take advantage of it. stays working that bottom side. He's going to try it one more time. A bobble down there. Can he get in front of Winner this time? Yes, as out of turn 4, Susie is going to collect this consolation win, lead the field of the line. It's Susie, Meitzler, Isley over Winner, and Pereira and Sharp. Davidson, we expect to be eliminated. We will see if that is the case.
And that's unfortunate for him. Ryan Susie held a great run as the leader of this event and definitely showing he's got his stuff ready to go. Dean Meitzler able to capitalize as well as we get ready for this feature.
We will take a step aside as these drivers get a chance to warm up. We get a chance to kind of catch our breath, get a drink of water, and be right back to you here at Pit Stop TV. This is coverage of the Creative Turning 60. Of course, brought to you by Creative Turnings and the BRP iRacing series. Don't go anywhere. Feature racing is on the way.
Sound Art introduces an entirely new way to listen to music in your home. By combining the best of two products, a revolutionary high-fidelity, low-profile Bluetooth wireless speaker with beautiful artwork. Select from a library of artwork or upload your own photos to personalize your experience. Sound Art ushers in an era of invisible, beautiful, and amazing sound throughout your home and redefines your entire entertainment system. The need to reclaim your floor space and rid your home of unsightly speaker boxes that need to be bolted to the wall is now a thing of the past. Our canvas is printed on high-quality permalite by Breathing Color. And select from our gallery or upload your own. Standard sizes include 16 by 20 and 18 by 24 canvas wrapped. Custom sizing is available, as well as surround sound options.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence.
Welcome back to the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Thank you for sticking with us as we get ready to go feature racing at the virtual world's fastest half mile. We can't confirm Dylan Davidson will not be joining the field tonight in our feature race. Only 24 cars, a detour from 26 as per usual. I'm sure that will be sorted out. That is kind of for the admins to worry about. Thankfully, not our job, Joe. That's the good thing is they get to deal with that. We get to deal with the broadcast, and I think that works out quite nicely. We have 60 laps waiting for you in the Creative Turnings 60, and it's all thanks, of course, to the Korea family and Creative Turnings of Waterford, Connecticut. They do a lot for this series, as with every other partner here of the BRP iRacing series, and they have custom wood and acrylic pens, bowls, cutting boards, and more. Find them on Facebook and pick up the perfect present for the ones you love. Creative Turnings of Waterford, Connecticut is waiting for your order. 24 cars ready to go racing here at the virtual Bristol Motor Speedway. Let's go ahead and meet our starting grid. On pole, it is Brett Haas in the number 55. The pistol, Jamie Porter, got his first win here last time we raced here with the late models not so long ago. He will start second place. Starting third in this feature is Joe Matthews on the inside of Andrew Clark, and starting fifth, it is Scott V. Fritz. Connor Ross rolls off 6th position. Brandon Plank will roll off in 7th. Dean Reynolds 8th. And your back row, the top 10, Joe, that is going to be none other than Straight Jacket Michael Hackett and Wild Child Tanner Correa.
You roll back to row number 6. You got the Thriller, Travis Miller, starting on the inside in 11th place. Brett rolls to his outside, so 2 big championship names here in row number 6. Row number 7 starts on the inside with Matt DeRitter, last time's winner in the 03 machine. He's got Ryan Susi in car number 38, who's outside in 14th. You start 15th on the inside of row number 8. You've got Brian Berger in car number 60 and Dean Meitzler in the 49, who is outside. Starting on the inside of row number 9, you got Adam Hilton in the 3, and then Gavin Isley in the 18 machine. He starts 18th. Car, and then row number 10, Tyler Joshubowski in the 088, and Mike Wenner in car number 23.
Starting from the 21st spot, it is car 21 of Tyler Pachalski. Richard Pereira will roll off from 22nd. In your back row tonight at Bristol in the Creative Turning 60, that's Ryan Beagle. Jeff Sharp will start from 24th. Again, we do want to thank our partners here with the BRP iRacing series. Of course, Bicknell Racing Products, the namesake of the BRP iRacing series, as well as MDR Designs, your one-stop shop for all things graphic design. Find them on Facebook at MDR Designs, helping you look the best you possibly can. Jam Performance joins the list ahead of Lindy Direct, the largest industrial, medical, and specialty gas supplier in the world. Head over to lindydirect.com to find your current closest location. Lindy Gas and Equipment Incorporated is ready to serve you. We talked about Creative Turnings. They are bringing you coverage of tonight's event. They are the premier partner tonight for the Creative Turning 60 and, of course, the Super Dirt Car Series. We'll talk more about them here in just a little while. Green flag is waiting here, Joe, from the Bristol Motor Speedway. And up at turn number 4, we are green in the Creative Turning 60. One car on the wall, it's Tanner Correa climbing the catch fence. He gets that car back on all fours and continues on.
Heck of a job there from the driver, number 11, to keep that car under control. He was off the ground and able to get things back under control and woed down. Two cars wrecking pretty big in turn number 2 right there. One car sliding down the racetrack again and still flipping. That's Tyler Pachalski in the 21.
We stay green, it looks like, as Jamie Porter leads across the line, but Andrew Clark is going to try and change that at turn number 2 on lap number 3. The 98 just might have the race lead for the first time this evening, and Pachalski gets right back in line with the rest of the field.
Now, if I remember correctly, I'm pretty sure Andrew Clark is a guy who's excited to be here and enjoys this racetrack. He's getting passed on the outside right now by Brett Haas, and he might even fall to, he's not going to fall to Connor Ross, but he had an opportunity on the outside. Andrew Clark's definitely a guy that you don't want to let in front of you and take off, because he will be gone and you will have a hard time catching him again. So Jamie Porter, Brett Haas, they backed up a little bit, but they definitely don't want that 98 to pass them yet.
That's what these guys have got to be careful of. We've seen it so often, especially these top-line dominant racetracks. They seem to do better of it when they're on the bottom side and kind of training around the track. But when they get lined up top like this, Joe, we've seen it with Maxime Plant, we've seen it with countless others. They tend to just run into one another. It's so tough to gauge when that car might slip up just a little bit, that car in front of you, and when you might run into them.
Yeah, it's hard for these guys to all run. Whoa, Joe Matthews got a little bit of love right there from Blank. It's hard to run these cars that you can keep the momentum the same as the car in front of you, and it changes how you get through the corner. You catch up or slow down in different parts of the entrance, middle, and exits, and that's what gets these guys into each other, and we've seen plenty, and I mean we've seen plenty of wrecks come out of this series as a result of that specific instance. These guys, they're running pretty well right now. There's still a little bit of tackiness up at the top end of the racetrack, but we're going to have to watch out. We might catch up to more lap traffic.
Yeah, Ryan Susie did not take the green flag in this race as Porter now goes to the bottom side. Susie's in front of this field by some odd amount. I'm not exactly sure, but you can see the gap back to the field as he works back out of turn number 2 here. Waiting for it. There's the field as Porter continues to lead.
And Porter, as he's leading right now, he's got Brett Haas all over his tail, a little bit of contact right there. I don't know if that's going to let them really keep the speed. Ryan Susie might be able to at least hold the gap he's got right now to avoid becoming lap traffic for these guys. Brett Haas all over Jamie Porter right now as you ride on board, looking out the rear. Andrew Clark now pulls aside the 55 into turn number 3, and he's going to try to slide him.
He gets that spot. Now Haas going to try and go low. The crossover unsuccessful that lap. Connor Ross will fill the gap, and Haas goes for a dirty slider on the inside. Oh boy, he was digging down there. Let me tell you, now draws even and one car is around. That's Dean Reynolds backwards in turn number 2.
Dean Reynolds, it looked like he maybe got a teeny bit of help in the middle of that corner. We stay green for the moment, at least. Andrew Clark looking for a run, sliding underneath.
He hit him.
Yeah, there's contact right there. He slid on. I wouldn't call that a slide job, but he did go to the underside of Jamie Porter. Now here comes a slider from the 45.
Good slider there from Jamie. That checks up Andrew Clark. You see the green and black 98 in the middle, almost 4 wide. Down the front stretch, they work into the front 2 corners of the track. Everybody's scrambling, and a caution finally flies. This time, Andrew Clark is the one stopped.
It looked like, I mean, we'll get a replay back, but definitely Andrew Clark got into turn 1 hot, and there were a lot of cars around him, and that sort of caused everything. He almost got into Dean Reynolds right there as well.
This will be a good look at things. As Andrew Clark, you know what, let's back it up even more. Let's show this right here at the start. This will be a good look at everything into turns 3 and 4. You see the slider here from Porter. Clark goes down, and he just kind of runs into the back of Porter just ever so slightly. That checks them all up, and that creates this scenario where Fritz just ultimately drives through the 98.
I don't know what Fritz was doing. If Fritz wouldn't have seen him, surely. I don't think that's something that Fritz would have wanted to do on purpose. You know, Scott not here to do that kind of stuff, but they definitely got into that corner, and Scott kind of got a nose on him, and they ran out of space trying to get to a good line through turn 1. And, you know, this whole checkup from Porter and Clark's contact, and you can see what's going to happen right here. Yeah, Fritz gets the lead, and then they just kind of come into where each other are, and that's very unfortunate for Andrew Clark. I think he was very excited about this race, wanted to get back to the top step of the podium and get some good points, and that's not how you do it.
No, not quite, unfortunately, for the number 98. That means Jamie Porter will lead us to the green flag here in just a moment. We should get the 1 to green signal this time. Pace car lights, they will stay on 1 extra lap, 1 lap further than we thought. We could have gone and looked at that one more time. I did notice some contact for guys like the 03 of Matt Ritter, the 11 of Tanner Correa. It looked like they got a little piece of things. And look at Travis Miller back here. I'm glad we actually had this opportunity under yellow to talk about these guys, because Miller is mired way back here, I think at about the 9th position or so, which puts Rolls in 8th. I mean, these two are, I say way back. It's not way back, I guess, but it is a ways back. When you talk about the field of 24, they're almost down there around halfway. That's not good. They want to be higher up.
Yeah, and so these two started on row number 6. They started 11th and 12th together, and they're still right beside each other. Like I said, 8th and 9th. So they've made up a few spots. I don't know. You know, we're still early in this race, relatively speaking. So there's plenty of time left, but it's kind of surprising that they haven't gained as much time. And you know, Andrew Clark had a really good opportunity right there to be able to capitalize on scoring a lot more points than them. If he would have been able to stay more up towards the front, and maybe the two of them didn't have the luck to get back up there. But unfortunately, with that yellow, he was the cause of it. He's to the rear, so that's definitely not going to help him, and it's going to give a little bit of an advantage to Rolls and Miller now that Andrew's all the way back there.
Now this time should definitely be the 1 degree, and I definitely would have thought that we would have got it last time. I think this yellow might have been extended just 1 lap, as the pace truck will take us across the line. And yes, pace truck lights do extinguish here. We'll get lap 14 when we go back green, Joe. And I mean, I don't have any analytical thoughts, really. The brain isn't turning right now, and to be honest, we've just got to wait and see what these guys do. It's so early in this race still, anything can happen.
Yeah, I think one thing maybe to gather, these guys, Bristol is a long dirt track, and so, this yellow's a little long for the drivers, I know from experience, and you kind of start getting, hey, let's get back to green. So they're coming through 4 right now. They're probably thinking they kind of want to avoid another yellow, so maybe we'll see how that goes as the green flag comes back out, and we're back to green flag racing.
Everybody works on through the first couple of corners. Fritz and Haas into 3rd and 4th. Ross going to take a look down low for second now as Haas and Fritz make contact. Plank there as well. Plank forces Fritz up the track, and I mean, they all just hit each other. They're all still hitting each other. My goodness.
Everybody pile drived into that one. Another yellow flag coming right back out. Cautions breed cautions. And this one's going to include a couple very big names in this series. Brett Rolls, Matt Ritter getting involved in this one. Pretty heavy contact for Scott Fritz as well.
I hate to say it, but I think that's really... well, the caution happens, I think, because Brandon Plank just kind of comes up the racetrack out of 4. I don't know where he was expecting Fritz or Haas to go, but, I mean, he hit him. We'll see it here out of 4. I don't know where he expects them to go. They're 3 wide the entire time, and big contact.
And I think the big loser in that situation, or at least one of the big losers in that situation, is Joe Matthews. We've talked about Joe Matthews being consistent in feature races this season so far. He's actually coming off of 2 7th-place finishes in the last 2 weeks. So he's gotten top 10s in the last 4 events, actually. He's gotten in the top 10, but this was a really great opportunity for Joe. I think definitely this was a race he could have gotten into the top 5 or maybe even fought for a top 3. And, I mean, you can see this whole caution. He was one of the first guys involved in it and kind of had nothing he could do, but he got a pretty good chunk of the inside wall, and that's really unfortunate for him that he could have maybe capitalized from winning his heat race to getting a really solid top 5 or podium out of this race tonight.
So this is another look at the restart with Tanner Correa specifically, because they only go 1 lap until the yellow, so it's going to happen this time out of turn 4. But watch Correa in all of this. He's going to get a piece of things and go into the inside wall in just 1 moment. How exactly does this happen? Well, we're about to find out. Hilton went outside, Correa down low, and somehow... was it not him? Was there another red car that I saw? I guess it was. It was somebody else in a red car. I could have sworn it was definitely the number 11, but regardless, we will move on, and we will have a restart here in just a couple of moments as Porter continues to lead the field. And I know we kind of hyped it up, the possibility of Jamie Porter going back-to-back here at Bristol and back-to-back seasons. I don't know if I ever thought it was that big of a possibility, and I don't mean that the wrong way, but there's so many cars out here and such dominant drivers like Brandon Plank, Travis Miller, and Brett Rolls that I would have thought would won this race before Jamie Porter. But then again, we thought the same thing at Knoxville.
I definitely would agree that I think he would have had a lot more of a fight. We would have probably expected him to have more drivers giving him a hard time about winning this race. He had Andrew Clark, and there's still plenty of time left for Brett Rolls. Connor Ross, even sitting in 2nd place, could put something together and start really giving a fight to the number 45 machine. But it's looking really good for Jamie right now. Brett Haas has been right there, but hasn't really had the big move yet. Whether or not he's saving his stuff or he just can't find the way through right now with the way the track is, that's yet to be determined, but definitely Jamie Porter is controlling this race so far.
So we will go on to lap 16 once we get the green flag. This will be the 1 to go signal, and at least it definitely should be. If we don't get 1 to go here, Barney the flagman, I think, needs a demotion. Yes, that is a 1 to go. You can see the pace lights go out on the truck, on the pace truck there. And Connor Ross, I don't know what to make of this. We've not seen very much of this guy. We've seen very little of the number 35. And I think this is a proverbial, I just had it in my mind. Here's a guy that we don't know a whole lot about. We've seen him race a time or two, but we just don't know much about how he's going to race, I guess, up front. We don't know how he's going to handle the track changing. We've only seen him these few times this season, and yeah, here's a guy that we just don't know a whole lot about. Green flag is going to fly, and we're back racing at Bristol.
And into the first corner, a very controlling jump from the 45 of Jamie Porter. Haas running pretty strong right there. He's got a nice little battle with Connor Ross going. As Miller and Plank are side by side right there. Travis Miller has gotten himself into the picture. Brandon Plank looks to the inside for the top 3. Doesn't get there at the line. Brett Haas is going to retain it. And Travis Miller jumps to the top side.
Good stuff there from the number 22 car. Up into the top 5, that's always going to be a good points day. It might not be as good as he needs, though, because Plank is still 3rd, and Haas is in between them. Out of turn 4, Miller looks low, and Plank even working the bottom side of the racetrack is now. Miller goes way down there. Plank moves up in front of Haas. Ross even went down to the bottom side that time, and now we've side by side between the top 2 in the championship. And, of course, right as I say it, Miller slots in behind Brandon Plank.
These two guys, kind of the cream rises to the top in this series. A lot of the times, these guys, they've been able to do this a lot this season with Plank and Miller. They get to the front in due time, and you can see them just kind of working on it, getting there right now. Travis Miller up to the top side, Brandon Plank following the low line with the leaders. As they come past the line again, Porter and Ross still lead the way over these 2 championship contenders, but this is a big moment for them.
Whoa!
That was a big run for the 22.
Good opportunity here for a slider. He's going to take the opportunity, at least in the bottom. Pass not made yet. Now it is clear. Does Plank fire back at the bottom side? No. He keeps that round loaded, but does not fire, as we've got a race for the race lead. The 35 and 45 going after it. Ross down low. It's going to be Porter in the attic, and I think the base of it's going to work out as Ross gets the spot. Maybe at the line. He had it, but is he going to keep it?
And Connor Ross jumps to the bottom side of the racetrack right now. It might be time to jump down low. The top side of the racetrack's been the predominant line the whole way through this race so far. Porter kind of tries to defend in a little bit of a middle line right there, and it actually worked sort of for him. He retains the lead past the line. Miller right across the nose of Brandon Plank right there. 77X trying to get it in the picture. They're 2x2 down the back straightaway.
2x2 of the top 4. And now they get single file into 3. I don't think they're going to stay that way for long as Miller works up high, slides up there. Plank now gets to the inside of that 22 car, and Ross going to take one more stab to the inside. Behind these guys, look at this race. Korea, despite all that right side damage, is battling on the inside of Haas, and the caution flag flies. This one seems to potentially be for Tyler Pachalski, and the damage on that 21 certainly supports it.
Yeah, that car is definitely crabbing right there pretty heavily, and you can see, I mean, it doesn't take much of a good 2020 eyesight vision to see that that car's a little bit messed up right now. Tyler Pachalski having a little bit of a rough day here at Bristol, even from the heat races into now the feature. We'll catch the replay back here.
This is just about a lap before it all happens, and it may not be... It may not start with him. You can see Josh Mbowski ahead. Oh, and Rolls actually was the source of all of that. One car went pirouetting through the air, and everybody else came into it after the fact. And Pereira and Pachalski, that kind of adds fuel to the fire. What in the heck happens back here with Brett Rolls?
That was, it looked like Joe Matthews was involved in that one pretty heavily there. So here's Brett Rolls.
In the neighborhood.
He's up with Pereira, and then Matthews to the top side, off the corner. Oh, yeah, Matthews got in the wall. Yeah, Joe caught the wall on his own. Couldn't get out of the wall. Rolls caught up to him. Big contact and a big, not a flip, but he definitely got up in the air and kind of saucered himself down the front.
Saucered himself. I've not heard that one before. On board here with Joe Matthews. This might be a good look at what happens, or an interesting look anyways. You can see the rest of the field out the front, and he's just going to get up into the wall at a turn 4 right there, catches it, and gets dragged into it, and does a bit of a spin.
Yeah, you know, like a flying saucer, like a frisbee. You kind of get up there, it's spinning in a circle, but it's staying sort of level.
Do you think you could find a frisbee manufacturer that would sponsor him?
You know, it's worth a shot. You know, you live your whole life, you got to try things, right? So maybe, but
you miss 100% of the shots you don't take there, Joe Matthews. Go for it.
Yeah, well, it's we'll see what they think of this whole ordeal. You know, that's not a good situation for Joe, and like we said, he started off the night really strong. He had a really great opportunity to maybe make something out of this event for, you know, breaking into the top 5, getting even a top 3 out of it. And, now he's involved in his second pretty major crash, and there's a lot of damage on that 9 car. So that's definitely not what he wanted to see. And, my dad just texted me. He's watching the broadcast, and he just kind of sent me a text. All it says is, saucer?
I wonder if he's ever tried his hand, Joe Matthews that is, at disc golf, because it looks like he'd be kind of good at it after that entry to turn 1. I guess we'll have to follow up later. Maybe if he gets the top 3 still, maybe we'll ask him then in our post-race interviews if he's ever tried disc golf. Jamie Porter will lead us to the green flag. Connor Ross outside, and you can see Porter has elected for the bottom. He gets that pass made immediately. Green flag is out once again at Bristol. Lap 25 coming at you.
And Travis Miller right to the bottom side there. Pretty big send for second place, and it works. The 22 machine comes up into P2. He's got Brandon Plank still right behind him, but Jamie Porter still controlling away as he comes to the line again. Put one more laps in the books, and he's got a little bit of a gap to his teammate, but it's going to close.
Love watching these guys fan out. I really, really do. I could watch these angles all day. That said, we got a race to cover. Connor Ross and Tanner Correa, well, they were battling for a moment as it's now Plank and Miller, the two that have gone at it all season long. 77 inside, 22 outside. They will stay side by side and race down to 3 and 4. Contact between the points leaders. I think Plank got in there a bit deep. I think Miller tried to cover it up, and they met in the middle. Oh, boy. That was very, very close into turn number 1.
Yeah, the elbows are coming out for 22 and 77 X machines. The yellow flag comes out on the racetrack. We got one flipping still. Tyler Pachalski involved again, and that is Richard Pereira in the 96 machine. And you can see, oh, yeah, that car's broken.
Yeah, 3 cars, it looks like, in the back here between. There was one other I saw, but I guess we'll just go ahead and grab the replay and find out for sure what goes on back here. Some big contact for a couple of cars. Let's check it out for Richard Pereira for starters. And he actually might have been behind most of it. We'll see here in just a moment. No, he is in front of Pachalski, so I dare say he is, he is behind it because Andrew Clark and Wenner initially started this, and he came sailing in there pretty good, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know how much time he would have had to respond to that, but Wenner was definitely out of shape on his own before that, and then obviously the rest of them just kind of pile-drived into the situation, so the yellow flag will come out as a result of that. Clark, unfortunately involved in another accident. He had been trying to rally something to fight more for the championship, and this is not the way to get things going. Same with Mike Wenner. Mike Wenner's had some really good performances lately in this series, a couple top 5s throughout the season so far, and he's kind of mustered in the back, and he moved up on Andrew Clark all on his lonesome.
Yeah,
definitely, that's definitely on Mike Wenner there.
And you gotta wonder if this is what does it for Andrew Clark's season, this will be rather unfortunate. To have it all happen this way, that little bit of an incident earlier on that caught him out and sent him to the rear, if that's what does it for Andrew Clark this season, takes him out of contention and leaves him out of contention, that would be rather unfortunate. Pereira did come in there kind of deep. I gotta be honest, that's a low percentage send into the corner when you see guys wrecking, but it is tough to react. Obviously, you can't stop these cars in a dime. I just think there might have been a little more he could have done.
It was a little bit quick into that corner. What he's trying to do is
I think he committed to the bottom. He saw them wrecking up high, committed to the bottom, hoping they would clear out, but maybe shoot for the apron there. I don't know. Obviously, hindsight is 20/20, right? So it's easy to say it on the while watching the replay and not holding the steering wheel and all that. So I get it.
Yeah, I think he definitely. I mean, he saw that incident. He tried to throttle down to the bottom side of the racetrack to avoid. One of the problems with this track, not a problem, but one of the problems with that situation for him was just the banking. Not necessarily used to the banking being so steep that cars are going to fall back down the racetrack as quickly. That's something that might have caught him out a little bit, just how quickly those stopped cars are going to start rolling back down the track.
Barney is holding the green flag, and we're waiting on the signal. Jamie Porter gets this race restarted and takes the lead back on lap 29.
They come out of the side of the corner there. Porter stayed to the bottom side. There's a nice little three wide actually back there in the middle of the pack. As up front, Jamie Porter still leads the way. Brandon Plank holds second right now with Travis Miller in third. They go single file past the line again. we get to the point where we're coming to halfway through this race. Jamie Porter's led the whole way so far. Connor Ross, Brandon Plank, Travis Miller, they're all right there, though. So this one is nowhere near in Jamie Porter's hands, as even now Brandon Plank goes to the inside, and he might lead the lap.
He did.
Barely.
And Ross has led a couple of two, so I mean, it actually has been a very contested race. Just a couple of cautions to help, and oh! Brandon Plank puts Jimmy Porter just a little bit in the wall. Miller's going to have a go down the inside. No dice yet, but maybe out of the corner. The 22 pushes the 77 up just a little bit, and I can only imagine that Jamie Porter is going to be none too happy about that.
Yeah, Jamie Porter definitely got a good squeeze right
teammates.
there. Oh, contact. A little bit of beefy sports drama right there. The two of them got into each other. Tanner Correa in the picture. Put one more beef car up in the top four as they come into the corner. They're all trying to chase down that 77X machine, though.
And they're all going to gang up on that 77X, aren't they, at this point? They've got to be in Discord. And yeah, I think Porter took a shot right there, trying to pull an old Bristol bump and run on Brandon Plank. Are we going to see a bump and run on dirt with big blocks? They're trying.
Tanner Correa had a good run right there. He might get slid by his teammate, Jamie Porter. No, he slicks around the top side of the racetrack, just squeezes through that small hole, and he stays right on the tail of the 77X as Travis Miller goes to the bottom side. He leads that by, whoa!
Brian Berger.
Yeah, Brian Berger goes hang time, Tony Hawk.
I'm going to bill him for the camera.
That was, I think, Tony Hawk, Sean White would be very proud of that move right there.
Miller down to the bottom side, maybe a slide job attempt, not quite, holds himself back, and they will keep racing to the front stretch. I do like your Sean White reference. Had a chance to meet that guy back at Mammoth Mountain some years ago. The top four, though, riding that top side, the Larson line, it's dominant here at Bristol.
For the moment it is, and it looks like Brandon Plank is being able to control it pretty well. He's been able to hold a 2-3 car advantage over Tanner Correa for the last few laps right here, and it looks like the BP Sports guys, they're running really well, but they just don't seem to have it at this exact moment to catch that 77X. With a little bit further back in the field, we got some battles going on. Andrew Clark to the outside of Straight Jacket and into the corner. We got another yellow flag.
This one for Dean Meitzler and Matt DeRitter and Jeff Sharp, it looks like. Richie Pereira had fallen off the pace, but I don't think he's a part of this incident. It looks like it's Sharp, Meitzler, and DeRitter. Hopefully only those three. Hopefully no more involved. I say that, and there were definitely others involved, as I got a short preview of how this one goes. Here's a look at Meitzler, and I think this actually happens further up. I talked about the 03 DeRitter. Yep, he's further up the road. Does this happen between Heat and Sharp, potentially? Here's turn one. Does Reynolds maybe get out of pace? Oh, yeah, DeRitter runs over Reynolds. Oh, my goodness.
Ooh, and yeah, that was pretty good for Ryan. Whoa, nice little save there. Ryan Susi got a teeny bit of that as well, but Reynolds just kind of on that bottom side didn't have as much momentum. DeRitter comes flying into that corner. Was there maybe Matt could have gotten a little bit further up the racetrack and avoided that contact? Sharp, Susi, Meitzler, Wenner, Berger, Pachalski, they all get brought into it as well. But we wonder if maybe Matt, was there anything Matt could have done there?
I think you're hitting onto something there. Let's take another look at things. And I do notice that Meitzler kind of came into things with abandon there as well. This is a classic thing that we've seen on dirt racing as of late, where one car kind of slides through the center of the corner, the car behind absolutely rolls it perfectly, and unfortunately doesn't check up for them. I mean, I don't mean to upset anybody with that comment. That's just the fact. That's what happened.
And that's something that sort of has been a part of this series. You know, we talked about being able to transition between driving real race cars and sim cars, and the way that the boxes around these cars in the sim act, controlling that car and reacting in time and everything that goes into driving these big blocks. And obviously, this time Matt DeRitter got into the back of Dean Reynolds. We've seen this happen a lot with this series. Some of the biggest names even in modified racing have fallen to that little incident, and just that one little thing that could catch you out every once in a while. It happens, and it happened right there with Matt DeRitter, Dean Reynolds, and the rest of them pile in. But we still got a couple more than 20 laps left in this race, so there's plenty of time for them to kind of get something together and try to get a couple of those spots back.
I will say, having watched it that last time, the onboard angle with Matt DeRitter, I don't think there was a whole lot to signal to him that the 79 was checking up. I will say that, but it's just it's tough when you see it over and over, right? Because you get into that kind of mentality is, oh, here it is again. But when you watch it on board, it really does clarify a lot of things. You're diving down to the bottom of the corner. A lot of you guys watching may have driven a car at some points in real life or seen it yourselves. You dive into the corner, and there's so much on your mind, trying to nail that line, trying to work around traffic, and suddenly you've got a car on your nose. So I get it. When you watch the onboards like that, it makes it a lot more clear. Yeah, I mean, it is what happened, unfortunately, is DeRitter got into the back of Reynolds and turned him around. That is still what happened, but I can see exactly how that all happened. And I mean, it's racing at such fast speeds. These are NASCAR speeds around here. Even on dirt, they're carrying nearly 100 miles an hour through each of these corners. It's pretty impressive. Big blocks back after it here. The BRP iRacing Series continues on with the creative turning 60.
And into turn number 1, Brandon Plank goes to the high side. Porter had been using the low side when he was the leader. Blank, you can see it worked out well for him. And Connor Ross trying to work his way to the esports, and he's doing pretty well. He's got 2 of them down, and he might get a third. Jamie Porter, who's outside, they go 2x2 down the front stretch.
Ross credited with third at the moment as he gets in front of Correa. That top side, I think, will prevail. Into turn 3, and Ross might have something. I'm surprised at how well this bottom has hung on through this race. I really thought it would be top dominant, and it has been, but not in the way that I thought it would. Ross now does slip a little bit, gives that spot to Correa for the moment. Miller trying to go on by, and you can see Isley now has figured out the top side and is rolling.
Yeah, there's a couple of guys who are kind of sleepers and slowly working their way up to the top end of this group. Gavin Isley we're on board with right now. Well, hold on, what happened to Jamie Porter?
That is a good question. Jamie Porter has fallen down. I think he just lagged out. Yes, he just lost connection.
So the guy who led so much the first half of this race,
gosh,
and everything he went through, and he lagged out of this session, that's really unfortunate for Jamie. Man, he had such a good run started. His Beefy Sports teammates, they're fighting with each other right now for second as the yellow flag comes back out. They'll have to keep the stables up. Mike Wenner, that's not the right direction. That is the wrong way.
That is definitely not the way that car should have been pointed at that point in the racetrack. And he will get the car righted, the TaylorMade number 23, and we'll get back after it. I do like the simplicity of this race car. I really, really do. I've always liked it since he turned up in it the first time. For the first time. Here, there we go. Jeff Sharp out his windshield, or lack thereof, and Dean Reynolds out the mirror, or lack thereof, as through 3 and 4. Does Sharp check up a little bit? Maybe no. Pachalski comes down after some contact. It looks like maybe with Susie, and you can see how that one went awry for the number 23.
Yeah, that was a pretty mild incident. Definitely not what Wenner wanted, but it was not good. It was Tyler Pachalski here, and you're watching again with the replay. I mean, Tyler Pachalski's kind of had a tough go of this race so far. He started poorly for him, and he's just been involved in a couple.
Oh yeah, just gets hit.
He got hit pretty heavily by Ryan Susie. Susie just sent it into that corner, and 21P was up there.
So that's how this one gets all started. Let's watch this one more time, maybe from the onboard of Mike Wenner. I think that might have an interesting look here as we'll get a look at things. You can see Jeff Sharp is going to roll down low. I'm kind of surprised Sharp actually stayed that far down the racetrack. You can see the entire field there. Contact with Susie Pachalski, and just blindsided there from Mike Wenner. And you know what? That's one of the rare cases where I think a crash on iRacing is actually less severe with a big block than it would have been in the real world. I think the way those hitboxes actually worked out, as opposed to popping the number 23, wheel-to-wheel contact with those guys, I think it actually worked out better with just that kind of bumper contact.
Yeah, definitely. And also, it also doesn't cost him anything. That's definitely going to be something that he's going to appreciate. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a check on the side of the car. And I mean, Wenner did an absolutely stellar job also of keeping control of where that car was going. He got a little bit of contact with the inside wall, not too much, but I think he did a really great job of keeping control of the machine and making sure that he didn't really, head on into the wall or come back into traffic or have any other problems. So, some heads-up driving, and it's to be respected that Wenner kept control of the 23 and was able to, have it minimalize the amount of damage he could have gotten out of that incident. Because he really, if he would have stayed in the throttle or something, he definitely would have gotten a lot of damage on the front.
A lot of partners make a lot of things happen here at the BRP iRacing series, and of course we always start off with Bicknell Racing Products, the namesake of the BRP iRacing series. We continue with Matt Ritter Designs, Jam Performance, Lindy Direct, Creative Turnings in the Super Dirt Car Series, and that's the one I didn't get to talk about earlier, the Northeast Premier Series, showcasing the big block modifieds premier drivers. The ground-pounding, earth-shattering, window-rattling beasts of the Northeast. It's the Super Dirt Car Series, and these are the same cars that are run in that series. Big block modifieds, brought to the iRacing.com service not so long ago, and we love the enthusiasm here from the BRP iRacing series to run them contact off of the green there with Correa and Plank, but we will race.
That was an interesting restart. Correa made some contact. Plank and him got into the same space, getting to the green flag here. Travis Miller capitalizes. He moves to second. Gavin Isley to the bottom side. He will hold on for what looks like fourth right now, and it will stay as fourth place as Correa. Got a little bit of a run off the top side, but can't get around the 22 car right in front of him.
Good running here from Tanner Correa. He has come alive today, and we like to see that out of the Wild Child. As they say that, he puts the right rear in the fence, gathers it back up, and holds on to third over Isley, who now has company from Connor Ross up the top side. Fritz down low, trying to make something happen, and look at him. He has got back in this race. Andrew Clark is back in, and albeit with some contact there with Fritz. Wasn't it these two that had contact to begin with?
These two have already gotten into each other during this race, yes indeed. So it's cool to see them getting back up there. And here's Brent Rolls. And look at that 17. He's still looking to try to get up there. Top 5 streak is still possibly alive. He's got 15 laps. He can make it happen. You just got to keep watching that 17W to see what he's going to be able to do with it and try to get back up there. But Adam Hilton, Andrew Clark, they can't keep the top side rolling, and Brett Rolls can't make the bottom side work yet.
The 17R slots in behind the number 3, and you can see the gap up ahead of the rest of the field. Hilton gets the wall just a little bit. It's so weird to see Brett Rolls not up front. It is so weird to just see him mired further back in the running order, not up front at all, not in the top 5, hardly even in the top 10. This is very, very abnormal.
Yeah, for sure. He didn't have a great start to the race, and he's trying to, gather it back up together. But, 10 laps, roughly, we got 12 laps left on this race. Brett's been one of those guys who can kind of rally himself and get back into things as yellow flag's going to come out. That might help him a little bit get up there with the rest of these guys.
It's not going to help this guy, though.
Yeah, that car's still upside down there. That's Tyler Joshimbowski, and resets it.
Yeah, I dare say being upside down in turns 1 and 2 at Bristol is not Tyler Joshimbowski's idea of help. Gets into it there with Michael Hackett. They fall back just a little bit. Well, Joshimbowski does anyway. Look at the dirt fly there into 3. Brian Berger then kind of comes up and fills the gap. What happens into turn 1, though?
Looks like Joshimbowski's going to
send it in too hard.
All on his own. I think objectively speaking, that's not really that's not what Tyler Joshimbowski wanted with that corner, I dare say.
No, not at all. Not even that sequence of events. Let's ride on board with him for it all, as he was racing very closely with the Elite Performance Industries driver of Michael Hackett. See the 84 way down low. Hackett comes back up. That's where this contact spurs up, and that sends Joshimbowski reeling in the wrong direction. And at 10 laps to go, I wouldn't have checked up for Hackett there either, I don't think, to be entirely fair. Pachalski gets that spot into the corner. Here goes Joshimbowski, rather, from one ski to the next. And, yeah, that's another grind. Unfortunately, not quite as clean as what we saw earlier.
Yeah, and a very, very slow rollover. Actually, slow enough that I was wondering if we'd catch a replay of just what happened that sent the 88 upside down. It was just such a slow roll that the car almost looked like it was sitting still and then ended up going the rest of the way to its lid.
Yeah, when the rear end housing spears itself through the back of your car like that, unfortunately, we don't see it on our client side. It's only on the driver's client side. If you know what that means, you know what that means. Yeah, we don't quite see it, but that rear end housing just kind of spears through the rear of the car and tips you on over when that happens. A look at it here from DeRitter, and I dare say it was the contact there that potentially did it for Joshimbowski.
Yeah, definitely. DeRitter's just trying to get around that corner. Josh Lebowski all of a sudden slowed up on the top side. And how much is there really that you can do to get off that line? Like you said, you can't see it on the screen necessarily, but who Josh Lebowski can do to see it, and it's tough. Tyler Josh Lebowski had a really great start with practice, and then it seems to kind of go downhill from there. Definitely not racing Josh Lebowski wanted out of the race.
This will be a look at things into turn one right about here. You see the contact with the wall, and we got to bill him for a camera too. Oh, and Porter got back in. You saw him there at the very end of that, right at the back of the field. So it's good to see that Jamie is back in the race, albeit some 3 laps down.
Yeah, at least he's coming back out. And there's a lot to be respected. You're not going to win the race.
Absolutely, yes.
You're not going to win. He's actually the only car that is lapped down right now. So he is 24th out of the 24 drivers. But, just to be here, get your sponsors on the screen a little bit and have some fun. And, get some laps, get some practice. That's what you really look for. And there's plenty of laps left. I mean, if people start dropping out, which would be unfortunate for them, but if other drivers start dropping out, Jamie Porter could get a few spots and a few points out of it.
The field works into turns 3 and 4. We'll have 11 laps to go. Plane gets fired off, and that is a clean restart for the 77. Oh, contact! Andrew Clark sideways with Beagle. They keep racing. Can you believe it?
That was pretty good heads-up driving, and there goes Mike Wenner down the back stretch. The yellow flag right here. There it is. 23 car got sideways. He's getting woed down in the corner, and that heads-up driving in the first corner, and it just kind of fell out of the way for the stretch.
Let's go back and watch a good bit of this. We want to start off with the number 98. Now, he's going to restart 6th. That is on the outside. Behind is that Ross, into the outside of Fritz. Let's watch this. What the heck happens in turns 1 and 2? I would guess contact with either Fritz or Isley, maybe Hilton in there. We'll see as they go to 1. Oh, Ross checked up big time. He got in the wall, and look at all of that contact. It's no surprise then that one of these cars goes spinning, and it's Wenner there. Jeff Sharp dropped anchor. What in the world was that restart?
There's a lot of movement that probably shouldn't have been going on, but it's the track. I mean, track is slicked off. It's shiny. The track is shiny. And these guys don't have as much control over these cars. They're trying to work around each other, and it's going to be, you kind of watch back.
Oh, Correa came up and shoved Ross into the wall.
Yeah, he gave... Oh, and there's Clark, and I mean, what are you going to do? There's nothing that Clark could have done right there. Or Rolls, Gavin Isley getting a piece of it, Beagle especially, what are you going to do here?
I know a lot of dirt purists always, go on about how dirt racers don't have spotters. Well, in iRacing, you have the advent of a spotter, and I think it would have helped there.
I definitely don't disagree.
I know. It's been one of those things where you don't disagree, but you also don't want to agree. I get it. Dirt racers are dirt racers, and I'm very much... I go to dirt races, broadcast dirt races myself. I understand it, but on iRacing... I would take the assist of having a mirror, having a spotter. I get the mirror thing here with these guys. If a car doesn't have it, a car doesn't have it. But yeah, a spotter would have helped in all of that. Especially 26 of these guys at Bristol. Everything happens so quickly. To have that spotter would be quite nice.
Yeah, it would have been able to get a couple of those guys out of that situation. But at the same time, especially with the Jeff Sharp part, I don't know. That happened really quickly. This too, especially Beagle. Getting around rolls, but Jeff Sharp right here, you see him kind of get things under control.
Well, and my biggest part of that was Correa coming up. Really, he obviously would not have just driven Connor Ross into the wall. Big crash here for Wenner. Would not have just driven Connor Ross into the wall intentionally. That was obviously a mistake, not knowing that he wasn't quite clear yet. But my point is that if he had, I'm assuming, obviously he doesn't have his spotter turned on. If he did. That's one thing that would have helped. But I get it. They're dirt racers. They want to dirt race, and I know that, I get it. I get it. It's just, I think that would have helped in that case, is all.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I definitely think it would be something that would have minimize the situation a bit there. You know, this guy's moving around a lot, and I don't know. I mean, when you're all backed up off a restart and you start moving around like that, you know, like what's the expectation? Everybody's all bunched up together. Track, there's no grip. It's kind of bound to happen. So unfortunate stuff, and especially for Mike Wenner, he got really the blunt end of that. So goes to the rear with a bit of damage on that car. But hey, 10 laps to go at the line. A restart's going to come back to us.
Green flag is out. Playing with a great drive on that restart. I think we got through the restart at least a little bit more cleanly. As Clark has been put back in the front of this field. I like that, as we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wide out of turn 2. I don't know what's going on back here, but the race is on up front. Miller to the inside of Plank, and we've got a run for the race win.
And what happened there on the inside of turn number 1 on that restart, Connor Ross got a little bit of help from behind, and he kind of lost control of the car. It backed up a lot of drivers into
Ooh, slide job.
There goes the slider from Travis Miller. He stayed to the bottom side. I think he might have known he wasn't going to be able to clear the 77X that time. So he jumps back in line again as Brandon Plank leads the way through 1 and 2 again. And they've got Scott Fritz in third, but a couple car lengths back.
The top is so good here at Bristol that it's really hard to get good slide jobs going. We saw great ones at Lanier last week. It's high banked, but not quite as highly banked as Bristol. And I think having a lower bank top line, well, a lower bank track in general, really lends itself to slide jobs. We see it at the Chili Bowl, for example, where they just throw sliders for days. With the top line being so fast here, being able to put the right rear on the wall like that, it makes it really tough to run kind of a hybrid line, down low, back up, or up high and down low. It makes it tough to run that hybrid line that really works for sliders. And now Miller all over the outside wall there into turn number 1. With 5 laps to go here, he has dropped well back of Brandon Plank.
Yeah, Brandon Plank definitely has control of the things right now. Brandon's last win was Weedsport. He's got 2 wins on the season, but week 5 at Weedsport was the last time Brandon Plank took a checkered flag as the leader. He could turn things around. It's looking good right now. Travis Miller, he's got himself, 1 win on the season at USA in week 8. He runs second right now with a couple car lengths to make up time to Brandon
Yellow.
Plank. Oh, man. Whoa.
Okay.
Nice. You know, the Winter Olympics are coming up right here in a few weeks, and I believe that's...
Are they?
Yeah, the Winter Olympics are coming up in a few weeks here, so, you know, that kind of pirouette in a figure skating competition would have been probably a pretty high score, but, you know, unfortunately we're out here on the dirt at Bristol, and Tyler Pachalski isn't going to get any points for that. Maybe some style points from us. A little bit of help.
Are the Winter Olympics really coming up?
Yeah, they're coming up in the middle of February. They're going to start up, I believe, in the middle of February or like early February, I think. Yeah, they're going to be starting up in, yeah.
Where have I been? What rock am I living under? I don't know. 3 wide here, Rolls, and it's tough to see Brett Rolls mired this far back. We've talked about it already. Ross back here as well. Brian Berger, though, is going to come off the wall right there, come down, and just kind of slap Pachalski in the face. Then he gasses it up and goes, whoop.
That might have...
I don't know how else to put it. He just goes, whoop.
That's... You know what? I love it. I'm with it. That's a great analysis. That might have been some frustration.
Well, oh, absolutely. I would be, too. Yeah, I get it there. And
but
actually,
actually,
if we get one more, I want to go to the onboard of this because this is going to be pretty interesting.
Well, look at that. Do you notice Dean Reynolds right there?
Right
Did you see that? Yeah, I mean, if Pachalski wouldn't have gassed that car up that much, Dean Reynolds would have hit him. Luckily for the 79, he slipped right underneath.
Tyler Pachalski's just a good guy out here saving other cars' lives in the backstretch. You know what? I said let's watch it from the onboard of Pachalski. No, we can save that for social media. Let's watch it from the onboard here of Dean Reynolds while all this happens. Look at that car go up right there. Whoop!
Wow. Wow.
That's a funny one. That's a good one. I don't like it because Pachalski got some pretty big damage out of it and obviously went for that ride, but I do like it because there's a comedic factor there. Just, that's a new one. I've not seen that happen before.
Yeah. I don't think, Tyler Pachalski right now is looking at that. He's obviously going to be pretty frustrated about that ordeal. He was kind of just in the wrong place at the wrong time and got collected by Berger and Ross around him, caused that incident. But, looking back on it, maybe he'll just, kind of be like, hey, yeah, that was a thing. It was kind of funny to watch Reynolds drive underneath like that and everything. But, it has not gone well for Tyler Chelsea.
I will say, Emerson Arden, who is also badgering me about not knowing the Winter Olympics are coming up, Emerson Arden has his work cut out for him on socials with that one. I want to see replays, and I want to see replays now of that one. I want to see all angles.
I think everybody does.
I would also not have been surprised if Emerson had keyed up his mic right there and just said no.
Nah, you know, Emerson's a really beautiful man, and he's got a little bit of an eye for. He's got an eye for the art, so I definitely think Emerson's gonna good. He's gonna work some magic. But we're single file restarting here. First single file restart of the day, and the light comes back out.
Love speed shots, really, really do. Green flag is out for the rest of these guys. 4 laps to go. Plank takes off. It's Miller and Fritz for second and third. Andrew Clark is somehow still in this race in his 4th spot.
Clark right now getting a little bit of momentum to catch up to Scott Fritz right here. Fritz's best result so far this season is a 3rd place. He got that at Knoxville. He's looking to equal it at this moment. If he can't get a run on Travis Miller, which he tried to do right there, it might put him into the grasp of Andrew Clark as Gavin Isley hangs on in the top 5 as well. They've kind of separated themselves.
2 laps to go. 1 more mile at Bristol. Clark digging down low. Do we see a Dale Earnhardt bump and run here at the end? Do we see something like that? White flag is out, presented by Tucson Sound Art. It's Plank out front, then Miller, then Fritz, then Clark, then Isley, then everybody else comes on through. There's a look at Andrew Clark. He's a little too far back. We could see it for second here. Miller and Fritz. Oh, a big send to Andrew Clark. It's not going to work. Brandon Plank gets another win. It is going to work for Andrew Clark. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
What a finish for third.
Andrew Clark what he did was he tried, I don't know if he tried the slider or if he just was going to commit to the bottom side, but the bottom did have enough grip for him to catch Fritz, and he kind of slid up in the way of Fritz out of turn number 4, and then unfortunately Scott Fritz spun across the line. I think that means Gavin Isley actually took 4th place from him.
You would be correct.
Yeah,
Scott Fritz doesn't even get a top 10. He falls to 14th. What happened? 2 laps down in scoring.
What? I don't even know. I don't know what to say about that. What?
I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. Let's watch this back. Right at the end between these guys. Clark just points it down low. This is 1 and 2. He gets down there, tests out the bottom side, sees how it's running, and is going to take a big stab. Was this 2 to go? That might have been 2 to go. Yeah, that was. Let's ride on board then and watch this shape up.
So here we rifle off the top side of turn 4. We're riding. We're still a couple car lengths back. I mean,
that's a good run, though, through 1 and 2. Really good corner.
Yeah, and that's what's going to give him a chance here into 3. There it goes to the bottom side of the racetrack. And now watch, he stays to the bottom. He kind of actually, Fritz tried to go down to defend, and he slides up, and a little bit of contact sends the 48 around.
Yeah, let's get a more consistent angle on this. Try and work the replay a little better. This is going to be coming to the white flag right here. And I think if Fritz stays glued to the wall, he's got it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The top side's been kind of lightly dominant all the way through this race. But he did. He came off the wall. He tried to slide down the racetrack, and then
he just had a bad center to the corner.
And he got the wall, but he got the wall basically after the time he passed the stripe. So there might be something going awry with timing and scoring right now. There's actually a lot of I think 10 or 11 people who are kind of in the same boat as Fritz, where they're scored 2 laps down for some reason, but evidently they weren't. 2 laps down at the finish. Whoa! That's a pretty major accident after the checkers. But yeah, there's something going awry with timing and scoring right there. Scott Fritz should be 5th place on the order.
I have an idea, actually, of what it could have been. Let's go back a little bit. I have a potential idea. Well, that didn't work. This will be just 1 moment. But I do have an idea as to what might have done this. I want to go back. We want to get at the restart. Because we want to see And this might be a little bit far back, so we'll just wait for it to come on through because this has already been difficult to key up. But I wonder if being a single file restart, if any drivers passed to the inside. Now, I can tell you Fritz didn't, but I don't know. I just want to see this. This is the only thing I could think of. No?
Yeah. No, it doesn't look like it. Yeah, Hackett didn't even do it either. I mean, Hackett was the only one that looked like it. I don't know.
Well, it is Bristol, baby. If it wasn't confusing at times, I don't know what it would be. I guess we can leave it there. It is Bristol. It will do it to you.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're going to have some stuff to work out there, but nonetheless, it didn't plague any of our top 3 drivers. So at least unofficially, the top 3 on the standings for timing and scoring are the top 3 across the line. So we have Brandon Plank, Travis Miller, Andrew Clark that we're assured that we will be able to get to talk to and kind of summarize what we've experienced here at Bristol.
Let's go through results now, and preface this with a lot of this. Well, there's a tagline at the top, right? Unofficial, for a good reason. This is how iRacing is scoring the end of this race. For what reason, we don't know. There had to have been... I have no clue. I really don't know, Joe. I've been on this sim since July of 2016, and this is a new one. I've got nothing. I really have no clue what this is all about, but the way iRacing is feeding us scoring is the following. With Brandon Plank winning the race, that's correct. Travis Miller second, Andrew Clark third, that's all correct. And even Gavin Isley in fourth. What's wrong is everything else, where Michael Hackett is listed as fifth, Jeff Sharp sixth, Mike Wenner seventh, Ryan Beagle eighth, Adam Hilton ninth, and Brian Berger 10th. I've never, ever seen something like this, where half of the field gets put 2 laps down, seemingly for zero reason at all.
Yeah, and Fritz, I think Fritz is the only driver in the top 10 that we should have seen, but you see Dean Reynolds, Ryan Susi, Jamie Porter. Scott Fritz is there, and he's 2 laps down. So Porter's 1 lap down. I think that's fair to say that's a result of the disconnection he had earlier in the race. But then you've got Fritz, Ross, Rolls, Correa, Meisler, Josh Mbowski, and Matthews. They make up 14th through 20th, and they're all scored 2 laps down. But like we said, I don't think that's quite right.
I don't think you should take much stock in these results, aside from maybe these few guys at the back, potentially, with Brett Haas, Matt DeRitter, Tyler Pachalski, 21st, 22nd, 23rd. And I think the one result after 4th or 5th place that we can say is correct is Richard Pereira, unfortunately, in 24th, 9 laps down. I'm not sure about the rest here, Joe. I really don't think the rest of this is correct. We'll have to obviously figure out some kind of official scoring after the fact and get that out on social media, because this is quite bizarre. Bristol's thrown us for a loop, and I mean, sometimes we just wouldn't have it any other way. We have got, of course, our top 3 waiting trackside, if you will, for some post-race interviews. And Joe, we're going to hand you the race winner, because Brandon Plank hasn't won in a while, and I feel like he should get to talk to the one Joe Donahue.
Well, that is I appreciate that immensely. Let's go ahead and bring him in. Brandon Plank, this is Joe Donahue with Pit Stop TV. You got a copy?
Yes, you got me.
I got you, Brandon. Well, hey, you finally cracked through again. You won week 5 at Weedsport. That's the last time you got yourself a victory, and I'm sure after everything you went through with this race, kind of trying to charge up through the field from, the 6th row at the start of this race, it feels pretty good.
Yeah, it felt like a long race. The track was pretty racy. I haven't run here a lot in general. There's not a lot of hosted races kind of throughout the weeks racing here. So yeah, took some big dives to the inside and was able to, kind of get some spots there. And towards the kind of middle to end of the race, it was so top dominant. I kind of made up my mind that if someone was going underneath me, they kind of deserve it.
It seemed like the track, I mean, the bottom side seemed to be able to hold up per se, but the top was kind of the place to go. Is that kind of what you experienced? And like you said, you kind of try to force people to make the aggressive move on you. Is that how you got yourself rifled up through the field to the front?
Yeah, the kind of hitting the bottom is something you can do only when everybody else doesn't have their momentum built up. So right after a restart, or maybe everybody starts racing in a really tight pack, you can take a dive down there. But yeah, it's tough, and there was some contact kind of throughout the field, it seemed like, and you don't really realize how fast you're going until you make a little bit of contact, because it feels huge. So I got to apologize to Jamie. I got into him a little bit there. I looked as far as I possibly could, right, and didn't see him, and then it was some contact kind of going for the lead there. So I got to apologize to him for that. But no, yeah, overall it was top dominant towards the second half of the race, and just kind of was living and dying by it up there.
It seemed like that was the way things went. And so you talk about huge, and we're going to 180 that. You got this win here, Bristol, big high banks, long track, top speeds. Now you got Fairbury to look for next week. Very small. You're not going to be going as fast. It should be a heck of a show. How are you going to bring this momentum and keep up this run as you're the championship leader and you got the win here? How are you going to attack Fairbury? Do you think you're going to be able to go doubled up and go back-to-back on race wins?
I hope so. That place is pretty racy. The top gets pretty far out and around, and the bottom seems like it comes in, but it's really tight around those tires. So I hope so. It's been fun racing this series this year, and it's been cool battling with Travis there, and tonight and kind of throughout the whole series. And I saw Andrew had some tough luck and rebounded as well. So racing with a bunch of good guys, and just try to stay out everybody, race clean, and keep our nose clean too. Hopefully we can kind of keep it going and have some success next week as well.
It certainly looked like you raced a very professional race and kept yourself out of harm's way pretty well. So congratulations, Brandon. Very well done, well-deserved victory here at Bristol. We look forward to seeing if we can talk to you again maybe next week at Fairbury or more in the future.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
And that's your race winner, Brandon Plank, and a very professional run from him. And probably pretty happy to see this guy finish. Maybe he didn't want him to finish right behind him, but at least he was in the mirrors. And we're going to get to hand Andrew off. He's going to talk to Travis Miller about how everything went tonight.
The thriller Travis Miller at least escapes the scoring nightmare behind him, but not quite where he wanted to finish. Obviously, outscored, let's just be honest, outscored in the heat races, outscored in the feature race. What do you have to do these next few weeks to get back up there, get back on the saddle, and take this points lead away?
I think we're just gonna have to win, really. Tonight was good. We were consistent. I was happy to just get top three out of here. It's so tough to pass, and it's real touchy when it gets real slick on the top. So I think the next 3 weeks we'll have to just go out and try and win, and hope that Brendan has a couple bad nights, because it seems like every time I win or finish in front of him, he's one spot behind. So we'll just have to be consistent.
Now, the good news is Brett Rolls and Andrew Clark are nowhere. Well, I guess Andrew Clark is right there to be found at the end. He was kind of all over the place, but Brett Rolls is nowhere to be found. So it really does kind of narrow it down, at least for next week, to a 2-horse race. You and Brandon Plank. Does that ease your mind at all, or does the scoring, I guess, tonight, where you're just behind him all night long, does that still take precedence?
I think it's nice to know that, if you're just kind of half consistent the next 3 weeks, the worst you can finish is second, which is kind of good, I guess. But I mean, you want to win the points championship. So I think we're just going to have to just go out there and try and just battle and fight hard and get some practice laps in. And it's going to be tough for sure, because I think if we win and Brandon finishes second the next 3 weeks, I don't think we're going to have enough to actually beat him. I think it's going to come down to a lot of bonus points, and we're just going to have to get better there.
So how do you maximize early in the day on a tacky racetrack? How do you maximize qualifying, for that fastest lap in qualifying for bonus points, and winning the heat race? How do you maximize that?
Yeah, I think it's just qualifying, really. I think if you can get a good qualifying lap in, let's say you qualify first, you get that extra bonus point, and then you're first in the first heat. First in the first heat, you're usually just going to run the bottom. So if you start first in that first heat, if you don't make any mistakes, you're going to finish first in that first heat. So if we can go out and qualify good and qualify first, get that bonus point, win the heat, gets 4, and hopefully Brandon has an off night with qualifying. He's only had about 4 of those this year, so I don't know if that's going to really be a thing, but hopefully we can do it.
All right, next and final question then for you, Travis. Next week at Fairbury, It's that quarter-mile flat track with a bit of a bank top side. It's a bit like Kokomo, but also completely different from Kokomo. We've seen you fast at Kokomo before. Does anything translate? Can you take any stock in what you know from Kokomo Speedway, or is it just go and relearn in Fairbury?
You can take a little bit of stuff. I mean, when it gets real slick, I think the middle's going to come in really nice at Fairbury. But for most of the night, it's going to be ripping that lip right on the top and banging down the cushion. So we're just going to have to practice maximizing the bumps on the top and not hitting the wall, and that'll be all we can do.
Well, that is Travis Miller, second place in the night. Hopefully you can get up there and get after him next week and get some points made up. Best of luck to you in Illinois.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
Travis Miller wraps things up, middle step of the podium. We'll move things on down to Andrew Clark and Joe Donahue.
Yes, I get to bring Andrew Clark in, and this is going to be interesting to see what Andrew has to say. Andrew Clark, this is Joe Donahue with Pit Stop TV. You got a copy?
Yeah, I do.
All right, Andrew. We are very interested in hearing, how you rallied yourself back to this top three. The race did not start off. Well, it started off all right for you, but you had your low points during the race, and you were able to kind of have the adversity to overcome everything. Just how do you keep yourself in the right mindset, and how did you make it happen?
Just so motivated to get back up to the front. I felt I had, in the early stages, I felt I could have, probably won this race, but everything that happened, stuff happens. I was just motivated to get back up there and try to get a top 5, and luckily I came home with a third.
Yeah, and sort of talk about, the track kind of wore out, the top got dominant, there were some cautions involved too, but what was really the difference maker for your ability to move back up to the front? Was it maybe your line? Were you running a little bit different line than everybody else? Did the yellows help you? What really set it apart that enabled you to do this?
Yeah, I was just trying to go, where everyone wasn't. When I first got sent to the back, I was just trying to get up to 15th at that point, hope for a caution, and then the caution would come out. And the caution played a big factor. If it would have stayed green, I don't think I would have made it back up to maybe but 10th. So the caution played a huge factor in that, and then just trying to pick people off on restarts, and that worked out real great for me. So I can't be more happier than coming home third to Brandon Plank and Travis Miller.
Absolutely, and with that, we definitely want to get the rundown. Talk us through that last lap. Sitting on the outside of the top three, Scott Fritz and you, walk us through it. How did you make that work to the bottom of 3 and 4?
Yeah, I tried it, with 2 to go. I tried it just to see if there was something down there, and there wasn't much. I lost a lot of time, and I was just trying to gain as much as I could, and it was either send it to the bottom and hope it stuck, and which it did. And that was an all-ditch effort. I was either going for third or I was going for fourth. So thankfully it stuck, and Scott came off the top a little bit, and it kind of helped us out a little bit. So definitely was an all-ditch effort to go down to the bottom and try to make it stick.
Well, a little bit of luck came your way too with Fritz moving down, but certainly, you may as well send it, lick the stamp and send it. And you did, and it got you that third place. So hopefully, that's something to regain and get you the momentum back. So looking forward to seeing what you have in store with us, with yourself, with us here at Fairbury next week. So good luck to you there, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you again.
Thank you.
And that's Andrew Clark, your third place finisher for the night, and he was the third place finisher, even amongst all of the scoring elsewise errors, but definitely a valiant run on that last lap and a valiant run throughout the whole race, Andrew.
Yeah, that it was. Andrew Clark, to be able to come back from everything that he had as setbacks tonight, I'm blown away. I mean, you heard it. I didn't think he finished third for a second when I was talking to Travis. It just didn't register in my mind that he came back from everything and put that car on podium. It feels like he should have finished 15th. To be completely honest, it does not feel like he should have finished top 3, but more power to him. That's going to help him a ton of the points. Another week where he doesn't have to use that drop, and obviously you don't want to use a drop at any point, moving on, because that likely will hurt your points, but it at least is helpful to know that that's one more race without having to use a serious drop, and you might still have that mulligan in your bag in some way, shape, or form. So that is serious peace of mind for Andrew Clark. I think even Travis Miller, and I say Brett Rolls might not be in this points battle, but if he's finished top 5 every race until now, Bristol breaks that streak, this will be his drop, and he will still have a decent points tally, won't he?
That honestly is, I hadn't thought about that myself personally in this instance. I kind of forgot about that drop, but that's definitely not something these drivers should forget about. you are kind of gifted that one chance to have a poor race. And I honestly hadn't remembered that. So props to Andrew for keeping on top of things and remembering that is part of the equation too. So that will definitely be something to use moving forward.
Yeah, I started kicking myself when I was talking to Travis when I called Brett out of it, because I was like, wait a minute, no. He still has his drop week. If he's finished top 5 all the way through, this is the worst score that he's had. And obviously, we don't know official results. Not even going to go back into all of that. Whenever that's sorted out, we will have information. But this is at least what we have to look forward to. Fairbury, Eldora, and Charlotte to wrap up the season and wrap up this run for the BRP iRacing Series. 2 half-mile, well, I guess 1 half mile, a 4/10 mile, and a quarter mile. That's a pretty good little mix.
Yeah, and I think, Bristol's kind of an extreme when it comes to long tracks, and Fairbury's kind of an extreme when it comes to short tracks for dirt. So this off week, the time off between the race we just had tonight and the next race we have next Monday at Fairbury, this is going to be a very telling time. It's going to really show who's got the ability to be quick thinking and be able to adapt quickly when we switch racetracks. And then obviously, Eldora and Charlotte, they're 2 really great racetracks as well, and they're a little bit closer in similarity than Fairbury and Bristol, though. But yeah, this is going to be a telling off week, and then back to racing again next Monday.
Well, next Monday we will have Fairbury, but Tuesday, tomorrow, we've got 2 broadcasts, both from the World Center of Racing. It is the Daytona International Speedway for both the British Sim Racers and their Trophy Tuesday MX5 Series, 8 p.m. UK time, and for the Nork iRacing Series and their Norktona Truck 250 at 7 Eastern time. It's a double at Daytona, so thankfully we can just move some barriers around. We don't have to fly across country in a half hour to get to our next broadcast this week around, and I'll tell you what, that is going to make me sleep a whole lot easier tonight. But also, look at that third slot, Joe. This is something that we've kind of concocted up in, honestly, the last 24 hours. We are going to take a stab at qualifying. Where am I tonight? I don't know, but I'm not in a broadcast booth apparently. I'm all kinds of all over the place. The point being, in the last 24 hours, we've talked about it. We've decided to go ahead and broadcast an official split of the Ferrari GT3 Challenge, and they will be at Hungaroring beginning, well, a couple of hours ago. So they will be at the Hungaroring Wednesday and the rest of this week, which means we're going to step in, and at 2:45 Eastern, so if you want to join in on this fun, 7:45 UK or 2:45 p.m. Eastern, that is the time slot you're looking for. So you'll want to register ahead of time. Get to register beginning at 2:15 Eastern, 7:15 UK. You can get in there and run some laps, and if you make top split, you will be broadcast on Pit Stop TV. That is going to be a lot of fun. It's something we've not done very often. We've done it once or twice, but I'm very, very excited for this.
Yeah, this is definitely something, a little different. We're used to the leagues and everything, but it's going to be a really great opportunity to maybe even see some more of you guys out there. So be sure to check in on that. Be sure to check in on all of our social media too. Like we've mentioned in the broadcast, a very beautiful man, Emerson Arden. He does great work with the socials during the BRP shows, and we've got a couple other great people with Pit Stop TV who keep up with everything throughout all of our leagues and races that we partake in throughout the week. You can go search us up on Facebook. You can just search up Pit Stop TV or use the link shown at the bottom of your screen. Keep up with updates throughout the race and throughout the week. Twitter at Pit Stop TV _, same deal. You can go over there and get your little quick insights and updates, some little videos and pictures throughout the broadcasts. At Instagram, at Pits _stop _TV. You get nice pictures throughout these shows. And for YouTube, sort of the main location of our streams, but you can also see other nice little updates there at youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1, or just search it up, Pitstop TV. Should come right up. Don't forget to hit that bell. The little notification button will let you know when we go live. And it took me a quick second to get the word notification into my head there, Andrew. I heard you catch that. But you get that little notification tab, and it'll give you an update every time Pit Stop TV goes live. So you want to be sure to click that and keep up with everything as we go live week in, week out, day in, day out, with all of our great partners and series here on the channel.
And adding this Ferrari GT3 Challenge, I think, is the coolest thing that we've done in some time. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a chance for people who aren't in the leagues, maybe can't get into the leagues that we broadcast. I know there's a long waiting list, for example, with the 1GT3 series that we do cover in the North American Racing League, a very long waiting list. If you can't join, this is a good way to get involved and maybe show your stuff on Top Split, a Ferrari GT3 Challenge at 7:45 UK, 2:45 Eastern. It's going to be a lot of fun on Wednesday, and we hope to keep doing this through the rest of 2022 Season 1 here on iRacing, and if things go well, it only expands the ideas that then come along, and to see what we can do here with Pit Stop TV. And of course, all of our leagues. We love all of our leagues. BSR, NORC, BRP, of course, tonight with the Creative turning 60. North American Racing League, as I mentioned, if you didn't watch this weekend's North American Racing League Streamer Championship, that is a must-watch broadcast on this channel right now. Tony Kanaan ran 5th the entire race, and I won't spoil it, but did not have the ending that we thought he would have, having run 5th the entire time. Muradness, E-Stars, and Love 46, they really showed up and put a beating on the field as well, so you've got to go back and watch and see exactly what happened at Road America. And there were 7 streamers in that race: Daniel Morad, Love 46, Matt Malone, Dave Cam, Dan Suzuki, Samsoid, and who's the one I'm missing? Balkan. That's right. Slaven Prusin. I love that guy. So 7 great streamers were a great part of this event, and seriously, that is a must-watch broadcast on this channel, along with everything else. Obviously, it's a must-watch to us, but that, I think, holds a bit of extra esteem here on Pit Stop TV. We thank you all for joining us this evening. We thank you all for tuning in throughout the course of this Monday, January 17th. Hopefully, everybody stayed safe through Winter Storm Izzy. It swept through here, and Joe, we got our dose. 4 or so inches of snow here in North Carolina. That's a bit rare. Yeah, didn't expect that at all. Did not expect 6 inches of snow, 4 to 6, somewhere like that. But I'm glad to have it outside. Did it hit you guys up in Pennsylvania at all?
Yeah, we did. My neck of the woods here in Pennsylvania, we had, I don't know what the exact number of inches was, but we definitely had a good bit of snow in sort of the later parts of Sunday, and then we had some ice and rain throughout the night into today. I was fortunate enough to not have to go out and deal with all the snow blowing and shoveling this morning. My dad took care of things. I felt a little under the weather this morning, elsewise I would have been happy to help him, but we had a lot of wind. I think that's the big one, is we had a lot of wind last night.
Yeah, there was a lot of wind here too, and it's kind of picked up again today. So if you have any winter weather moving on through the area, or any severe weather at all, by all means, please stay safe. Listen to your local weather authorities, if you will. And I want to give one random shout out. Ryan Hall, y'all, is a great channel to go check out for weather information. He tells it like it is, much like I try to in the booth. If you're wondering about weather, check out Ryan Hall, y'all, on YouTube, and he will get you sorted out. But that is going to do it here for us on Pit Stop TV. We do hope you're staying safe this winter season, because some of these storms are getting interesting, and we hope you then continue to join us for the rest of our action throughout the week and throughout the month of January, and hopefully the rest of 2022. For all of us here at Pit Stop TV, in this case Joe Donahue and Emerson Arden alongside today, my name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and we will see you next time. Have a great night.